This was kind of an unexpected stop as well. Not so much the shop, but where we ended up, how we ended up there. Our trip got changed because of the weather. We were still supposed to be, I think, by the Grand Canyon at this point. But snow was coming, and it was continuing to come, and we wanted to get home before the weather made it impossible to travel. So we ended up driving from Beatty, Nevada, all the way up here to Battle Mountain, which is pretty far north. And we actually made it here by somewhere around lunchtime. I think we actually had lunch in the parking lot before we came into the quilt shop. Loved this shop. This was one of the last. It's kind of hard to believe that our trip was winding down at this point and that I wasn't going to get to go to quilt stores every day again. So I thoroughly enjoyed this. Nice tall ceilings so that many things could be hung up. It was nice and bright with those great big windows, and it was nice and light inside. It's a good sized shop. Lots of selection of fabrics. They have a nice size classroom in there as well. There were some ladies taking classes while we were there. Some shops, somehow or another, just kind of make you feel like home when you walk into them. This was one of those. One of the things that I have learned going into all these different shops is I do love it when they have fabric displayed like this, so that you have fat quarters in a little section just above the bolts that they go along with, and then often quilt kits or patterns that go with those fabrics right above that. So everything is really easy to find if you're looking for something in particular, or if you're not sure what you want to do. There's a lot of ideas right there for that particular selection of fabric. Not that I ever expect to own a quilt store, but that's one of those, okay, if I ever do, that's something I want to remember. While we'd gotten a little bit of snow on the road heading towards Grand Canyon, which was part of the reason we had diverted, this was the first day that we really had any snow on the road. We left at, I think it was 7 o'clock in the morning to get by this point, and we've been in snow for quite a while. don't particularly like traveling in the snow, so that was kind of tense. So this was a very welcome relief to just be able to relax and enjoy all the lovely fabric and just the ambiance of the place before we had to get back on the road again. We were originally planning to go just a little bit further beyond this, but since it was early enough in the day, we actually ended up driving all the way home, although that hadn't been the plan when we got up in the morning. And I didn't know that we were doing that at this point. For my fabric, I found some cute camping fabric with a little tent and some little trees, which is adorable. And because we had snow, it seems kind of funny for Nevada because you think of hot and dry, but I got snowflakes. And then back to Central Oregon. On the Madras Highway in the outskirts of town of Prineville is the Quilt Shack. It's another little house that's been converted into a quilt shop. The owner, Rhonda, has made an amazing use of her space. It's a little shop, but there's a ton of fabric in there. And it's cute. There's a lot of plaids and outdoorsy Western type fabric here. Great selection of flannels. She has a wall of batiks, a lot of kids' fabrics. It's just a great all-around shop. This was actually kind of the first quilt shop as well as the last, because I had bought background fabric here before we left on our trip. But at that point, we didn't do any video. I just bought fabric. She has a nice selection of panels there, of all kinds. I knew that I was going to want more of the background fabric, but I also wanted something that represented Oregon. And we have a motto of keeping Oregon green. That was especially a big thing when I was a kid. there's the batiks. I think the quilt with the animals is a block of the month. Not 100% sure on that, but I know that she does do block of the month patterns. It's just a great little shop. I love that she has the patterns hung up like this. It's much easier to see them than when they're just on a rack for some reason. I've bought a couple patterns off of those clothespins. So I got a green fabric for keeping Oregon green with outdoorsy sort of things, bears and trees, and then of course the background fabric that I liked. So I'm getting ready to do my next applique block. As you can see, it's rather complicated. My daughter Katie drew it. So it has about a zillion pieces. I've got my backing fabric already prepped with SF 101 on the back to stabilize the fabric while I'm stitching it. I'm getting ready right now to do my put my freezer paper onto the piece that's going to actually be the little pond. So I'm just going to touch that briefly with the warm iron, and then I can set that aside and I'll cut it out in a little bit. I want to make sure that pieces are nice and flat before I put the foundation piece on. This is going to be for my roof tops, which I have to find the other one. There we go. So the method that I'm using, I learned by watching a class on Craftsy by Sarah Fielke, which was fantastic. And I love her method of doing applique. It uses the foundation paper as kind of a template, and then you trace around it. And then you can remove the paper and you have your piece ready to go. And then it's actually quite easy. She uses a glue base to stick it to the background, and it makes it really easy to have your project be nice and portable. There's not a lot of prep because this does not take long. So when you put your pieces on, you want to make sure you have about 1/4 of an inch. This is directional. I want to make sure my roof pieces are going upright. It would not be good to do them upside down. Just do that real quick. That one's a little crooked. The other thing that's nice about this, if you don't like how it is, you can peel it off and just redo it. Nice and simple. So I'm going to do a little bit of that.